Well, I ended up doing it. I quit my job at Walmart. Now, some of you might be saying, Denoy, that seems like a really foolish thing to do, considering your circumstances. And it may be. Whether it is or isn't, we're going to find out here. But I just couldn't deal with it anymore. Anyone who has ever worked at Walmart recently will relate and understand what I'm talking about. But Walmart is really messed up as far as how they deal with their employees and situations and stuff. Um, Basically, the Walmart employees are like numbers and slots that they fill, and they hire certain people because they fit certain profiles. Like they fit certain slots, and Walmart, I guess, gets points from the government, maybe some kind of money or incentive to hire certain people and whatnot. And in my situation, Walmart no longer really hires full time. They hire everyone at part time, even if they have you working at 40 or more hours a week. And the reason they do that is so that they can cut you down to as low as 2 or 4 hours, 4 hours for a whole week if they want to. And there's a law or a rule that they have that if Walmart has you working for, I think, 12 weeks at 34 or more hours straight, they have to give you full time. So what they do is when they need you, they have you working at full time or more, but they monitor how many weeks. And as you get ready to hit 12 weeks, they cut your hours. They cut you back down to part time, and all they have to do is do it for that week. So they cut it down to less than full time status, and then you lose, that claim of working full time. So they can keep you at part time indefinitely. And the significance of part time is that they don't have to give you a set number of hours. They can cut you as low as they want. So they can schedule you when they need you, and when they don't, they can just not schedule you. They can schedule you for 4 hours for the whole week. And then, that's it from their end. Now, for them, they're thinking this is good business sense, which it may be, but I think it's really a mistake to treat employees like that, because how am I supposed to pay my bills? How am I supposed to pay my child support when you cut me down to 12 hours a week or something like that? Because my bills, they don't go up and down depending on how much I work. They actually, I have to pay them, because if I don't, I have to deal with DCF, child support, and everything else. So for me to try to get a stable job where I had consistent hours or consistent pay, somewhat consistent pay, was critical. And you might have heard me talking a little bit about that in some previous episodes, where I, was saying one week I'm saying I'm not getting enough hours, the next week they're giving me more hours. That's because Walmart was doing that. They'll adjust me. Sometimes I'm working 40 hours, sometimes I'm working 12. We're not talking day, we're talking weeks. And then what happens is when they cut me down, I go and I complain to them and say, hey, I can't work like this, because you're going to make me have to deal with the state of Florida, DCF, child support, the courts, all this stuff again. And then, they'll adjust my hours up if they have openings, which they've had a lot lately in my department, which was the meat and bakery department. And basically I'm what was called Fresh Cap 2, which is the people who stock all the fresh fruits and vegetables and all the meat products and stuff, meat and dairy, not dairy, but meat. Dairy is a different department, and deli. And I also cross-trained to help out with the deli department, because those two departments, everybody was quitting because of all the crazy stuff that they do over there. The hours and weird conditions. So anyone who has ever worked at Walmart, especially in the bakery deli, I don't know if they're all the same, but I know the one at the store I was at was really messed up. So people were quitting left and right, and which was allowing me to get more hours. That sounds great, right? And it was. I was like, look, I'll work anywhere, and do what you ask me to do, even if it's not even my job. Like if they have me sweeping and cleaning and stuff, or pushing carts, whatever, I don't mind doing it. I don't mind work. What I do mind is not knowing if I'm going to be working 40 hours next week or 12 hours, because when they do that, I have to try to schedule additional work with Spherian or whatever to try to make up the difference and get the hours so that I can continue to make child support. Because as soon as the child support drops, I'm back dealing with the courts again and license suspension and all that other crazy stuff that if you've been following my story here for the past 2 years, you've seen it come up over and over again. Now, another issue that I had was, there's a guy that they hired for one of the departments. I don't want to name names and stuff, but this guy, I think, has like mental issues, and I think they hired him because he fits that profile, the checklist. So he fills in a couple boxes. So they're with a lot of government money or points or whatever it is for Walmart to hire this person. So what they did was they hired this guy, and he was working in that department, and I think there's something wrong with him mentally, but he like doesn't clean up and throws the boxes and stuff everywhere on the floor and makes a huge mess. Well, no one else wanted to work with him. He was frustrating everybody that they put to work with him. And me, I'm willing to work with whoever. I just go there to work, do my job, and leave and go home. Walmart to me was not my life. It was getting income so I could pay child support, basically, because once they pulled out for child support and student loans and everything else, I was losing like 85% of what I earned, was being deducted for child support and student loans. So that wasn't even enough money to live off, which is why I'm still in the van and not living with my wife and whatnot. So, to make a long story short, no one else wanted to work with this guy, and they stuck me with him for the first 3 months that I was here, and it was crazy and driving me nuts, okay? To the point where one day, that other guy just left boxes. I'll just go ahead and say he had to stock the meats and stuff. He does crazy stuff like leaving the meat out for hours, which you're not supposed to do, okay? There's a 20-minute time that you're supposed to take the meat out and stock it. You're not supposed to let it sit on the floor. He'll set it on the floor and walk off and wander off into the bathroom for an hour and a half, and then come back. But I won't get into that. That's management. That's a Walmart issue. That's not my issue. But my issue occurs when he was emptying the boxes and just leaving them all over the floor and leaving all his bags and everything all over the floor on the table. So I couldn't take out the meats and stuff and label them and put them on carts to go stock. So I was cleaning up after him for 3 months. And then I told him, I says, look, one day he did that mess and I was like, I've had enough. So I confronted him and I said, hey, you need to clean up after yourself. I'm not your mom, I'm not your dad, I'm not your supervisor, but you need to clean up after yourself so that I can do my job. And he says, I'm busy. Okay, and all he does is stand around. He takes like 45-minute bathroom breaks and just stands around and doesn't do anything. He tries to hide from work, like when the truck comes in and we have to go pull the pallets of goods and stuff, he runs and hides so he doesn't have to do that. So I said to him, I said, hey, don't F with me. Then he said, you made a threat. I'm telling you, threatened me. And he went up to management to say that I made a threat against him. Of course, that wasn't a threat, but the issue is, for that kind of stuff, he ran up to management, and they didn't say anything to me about it because, it wasn't a threat, but I've dealt with people who have mental issues like that before. And it is one of the reasons I'm in this situation right now where I lost my career as a teacher, lost everything, lost my house, lost everything. Because when you're dealing with someone who's mentally unstable and they run around and they say you did something, you have to prove your innocence. So I knew then that he was a potential danger, and I went and I told my direct supervisor, my manager, the department supervisor, I said, hey, don't schedule me to work with this guy again or I will quit right on the spot. And I'm not kidding. No one else would work with him. I worked with him for 3 months. I cleaned up after him and did all this stuff, and now he's doing all this stuff and accusing me of assaulting him or making, a threat against him. And this is what went down. But don't put me with him again, or I will quit on the spot. And that was an understanding I had with my department manager. So, for the past 3 months that I've been working at Walmart, they haven't been scheduling me with him, and they've been trying to accommodate my hours. So I was perfectly fine and happy, and doing my job and doing the best that I could, until the other day. I was doing my job, and then in the middle of the day, like halfway through my shift, the assistant store manager, one of the assistants, came on and said that meat department needed help. And they had 3 or 4 other employees they could have sent there, and they wanted me to go there to work with that guy. Of course, you know what I did right on the spot. I'm a man of my word, and if I say I'm going to do something, I do something. I do my best. If I say I'm going to do what I'm going to do, I do what I'm going to do. And I basically told him, hey, I had told you, 3 months ago, don't do this, I will quit. They said, well, you're being asked to go work with him. So I just quit right on the spot and left Walmart. So as of this point, I'm assessing different options that I have for trying to get the income coming in, because I'm going to have an issue right here when if I can't make the child support payments. So I'm looking at Spherian. I'm looking at possibly working with Maurice. One of the issues with me working with Maurice is distance. And the other thing is Maurice isn't paying. We have to try to make the money. It's kind of like a partnership. But if it works out, it could actually take me completely out of this mess. My whole life would be reset. So that's a fairly big option. Third is to try to work with Spherian, which is always hiring. Like right now, they got stuff going on at the Cape. So I could end up working at the SpaceX, dealing with, I don't know, probably the cafeteria, more than likely, not actually working on the rockets. More like cleaning up the cafeteria or serving food, but it would be work. So I'm still contemplating what's going to happen. But, I know some of you are going to say, Denoy, you made a mistake by leaving Walmart. You should have tried to talk to them and stuff. I'm like, no. I told them point blank, don't ever put me back with this guy. And the reason for that is, if you put me with someone like that, I'm going to end up getting fired or be locked up in jail or something, because I have dealt with that kind of craziness before, and it resulted in me losing my job and everything, and becoming a homeless veteran, So when I see someone like that or a situation like that, I've learned, walk away. It just isn't worth it. Now, some of you might be saying, well, you're saying you're a man of your word. How come you didn't do Walter's tree? I did it to the best of my ability, and Walter agrees with that. There were some behind the scenes conversations and stuff like that. I never promised that I would be able to completely remove the tree. I promised that I would try my best, and I did give it my best, and was willing to go there to work on it, even after, I was moved out of Walter's. But he wants to, have his privacy and continue on with his life and stuff. So it was left like that. So I don't know what the status is. Maybe one day I'll check in on Walter and see what's going on with the tree. But that's why that was left like that. Otherwise, I would have been there cutting it still, however long it took. But so that's where we're at right now. I am looking at different job options, starting to prepare resumes, and just trying to figure out what to do. I would appreciate all your kind thoughts and prayers. Meanwhile, I am working heavily on YouTube, contemplating going YouTube full time pretty much, because the channel is actually, it's not as big as it needs to be. I'm not making enough to earn enough to even pay child support. I'm making less than I need to make child support, which is an issue. So to even go full time, I would need to make enough to cover child support as well as living expenses. But this is the earnings that are happening right now are because I'm working only part time. I'm only working with the videos that you're seeing right now, not actually producing stuff that I think could potentially go viral. Now that I've been on YouTube for, what, 2 years? Yeah, it's been about 2 years. I have learned, kind of what it takes to make the channel grow and get videos seen. And fortunate enough that this channel is already monetized. So pretty much any video I put up, as long as people watch it, I make money on it, which is crazy, but that's the weird thing about being on YouTube. They've set the threshold now, kind of hard to get into, but once you get in, any video you put up, as long as people are watching it, you make money on it. And somebody's like, well, that's great. Well, it is, but the problem is you don't really make that much. But you do make some, like, just to give you some numbers, I don't know if you guys know, but like when I make a cooking episode, like Cooking with Denoy, and like the episode where I cooked up the steak or whatever in the rice cooker, I think I spent like, what, about $6 or $7 getting that steak and cooking it up. I actually made in 1 month, because of the views and stuff, I made like $16 or $20. So, it cost me about $6 to make. I made $20, and I got to eat really nice steak. That's like a win-win. So maybe I can make 50 steaks and cook them in one day, and 50 times 20 would give me, what, $100? No, $200. I can make $200 a day if I cook up, all the steaks. Maybe that's a thought. Well, until next time, everybody, I'm going to let you all go. I appreciate your kind thoughts and prayers. Cross your fingers, wish me luck. And maybe I will become a full-time YouTuber. So we'll find out. Until next time, take care.